Well, hello, everybody. Rob McCarran here of Shake Them Ropes and Voices of Wrestling. We are coming to you live on YouTube, I think, and hopefully live here right after WWE Raw on what has been a crazy Monday with New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 9 earlier in the day. Monday night in Japan, Monday morning for all of us here in the United States. And a lot happening with more news coming right as Raw was about to begin. As WWE Raw was coming up, Major League Wrestling, Court Bauer produced a little podcast announcing that certain members of the New Japan Pro Wrestling roster were giving their notice on leaving the company, including Doc Gallows, including Carl Anderson, including AJ Styles, and then the shocker, the big name, Shinsuke Nakamura, has decided to give notice and leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, where is he going? Dave Meltzer came out later in the day and said that he's on his way to WWE. He's been hinting at it in his Observer for months. He's on his way to WWE. Now, not tomorrow, not next week, not this month, in a couple of months after he drops the Intercontinental Championship at some point. So we are live. We are live here on YouTube. At Shake Them Ropes is the Twitter handle. David Bixenspan is telling me that I look Turkish, so apparently he's never seen me before. And do I look Turkish? In fact, let me... okay, so guess what? Before we talk all the wrestling-related stuff, and I am going to take calls. I'm going to take calls for anyone who wants to get in on the WWE rating New Japan Pro Wrestling, for anyone who wants to talk Roman Reigns being entered into the Royal Rumble match and defending his title. If you want to talk anything wrestling, give us a call, 260-494-3811. I think I have everything set up. Most of the time I do this show with Jeff Hawkins, at least on YouTube. I've done some solo shows, but never taken calls like this before on YouTube. So most of the time I'm with Jeff. I think I have all of my production equipment set up. I think. I don't know. We'll find out. So if you want to call 260-494-3811, or you can Skype if you want to add us onto your Skype friends list. Let's Say Things, all one word. Let's Say Things is the Skype username, and we'll take some calls from anyone on here. So yeah, I don't know. There's also people in the chat because we are on a live chat here. You can chat with other people here on the YouTube page. There is apparently some type of report, and I want to make sure we have the most up-to-date information. So we are going to see what Mike Johnson, who apparently has been listening to his Shake Them Ropes because he reported something over the weekend that we had been talking about with Kevin Owens. Let's see. No sources within WWE have been able to confirm that as of this evening they have signed anyone. And we'll get to that because no one has come out and said today, including Dave Meltzer, that Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, Doc Gallows, or anyone is actually going to WWE and that it's a done deal. No one has said that. No one. So there's a lot of different stuff going on. So we'll take it step by step for anyone who's watching this show. But I want to get your thoughts at Shake Them Ropes on Twitter or call in via the number that's on the screen right now. And if you have comments, hopefully the audio is working for you all because I'm trying to check up a couple of different things at once. Hopefully the audio is doing well. If you want to let me know in the chat if the video and audio is going well, then let me know. And we will get to all of that. Let's see here. So let's get to the first thing. In fact, let's start with AJ Styles, right? Because AJ Styles finished up with Ring of Honor going for the ROH title against Jay Lethal, right? The moment that match was announced, there were a lot of people shocked out there wondering why exactly you would announce that match for Final Battle. AJ Styles, when he was a big player in New Japan Pro Wrestling, didn't seem like he could lose in Ring of Honor, hadn't been losing a lot of singles matches, and then Jay Lethal beats him. And then AJ Styles loses to Shinsuke Nakamura, a match that a lot of people thought might receive a little bit bigger build-up at Wrestle Kingdom this morning. Now, New Japan was announced, AJ Styles was announced for Ring of Honor shows on the 22nd and the 23rd of this month in Asheville, North Carolina, and outside of Atlanta, Georgia. On the pay-per-view posters, on the event posters on ROHWrestling.com, AJ Styles was on those posters as of yesterday. He was right there, big image of AJ Styles. Guess who's not on the posters now if you go to ROHWrestling.com? Today, Ring of Honor removed AJ Styles from the posters. The 22nd and 23rd Also happens to be the weekend of the Royal Rumble. What's happening on that Saturday? NXT is taping TV in Orlando, but not at Full Sail University, at the big arena, right with Royal Rumble happening on Sunday. So, are all these things interconnected? Obviously, it seems so. It seems like AJ Styles is going possibly to WWE, a little bit lighter schedule. He's going to be home. He's going to be able to find his way home to his kids a little bit more without having to go to Japan for 3 weeks in a row. So we'll see with AJ Styles. People saying the audio is good in chat. That's great. If you have comments, I want to know what your comments are. We're in the chat here. I'm looking at the chat, so if it seems like I'm going to be distracted, I probably am. Bix also asked, how much did I spend on audio equipment? I'll get to that with him, but not as much as it may seem, honestly. The paneling behind me is $20 on Amazon, just for the record. Let's see. So we are taking calls right now, 260-494-3811. It is a Skype number, so you'll get through on Skype. Call on your cell phone. If you're overseas, not in the U.S. right now, first, go to sleep. Second, if you can't, call us on the Skype line, LATSSAYTHINGS. So AJ Styles. For those asking about a possible trainer job, AJ Styles is coming in anywhere he goes right now to be a wrestler. Okay? If he thinks maybe, okay, once he's done with wrestling, if I'm in WWE, I have a better shot to becoming a trainer, becoming something backstage, then that might be part of the, yeah. Sorry, Bix, I did not realize. All right. So first of all, before we talk more about AJ and Shinsuke Nakamura and Doc, what I did there was read a DM on Twitter that I didn't realize was a DM because I just downloaded new Twitter for Mac. They just updated the app and I just downloaded it today and it's way different and I don't know exactly where I'm going with that. So short of me giving out Dylan Waco's cell phone number on last week's show and now this DM, I'm doing great. At least the show is working. AJ Styles, yeah. Likely headed to WWE. We had been talking about this in the Voices of Wrestling forums, which you can go to voicesofwrestling.com/forums. We've been talking about this ever since the match with Lethal was announced and ever since the match with Nakamura was announced. If he was going to lose both of those things, you pretty much had the writing on the wall that AJ Styles was done. He's not getting rushed into those two matches and then losing both of them without leaving the territory. So he can go to WWE. Triple H announced today new dates for NXT. 6 dates in the Midwest and the Northeast. So, I mean, they are ramping up the touring schedule. They have the Florida shows going. They're ramping up the national tour. There's a lot going on. They want some big names, especially if they're going to fill more, larger arenas this year. Because the novelty of NXT is going to wear off at some point, right? Especially as you go into new cities twice. And maybe a third time, you're going to need bigger names that can actually carry a larger audience without piggybacking off of a WWE pay-per-view. And AJ Styles certainly helps the brand in that way. So AJ Styles going. What about the Royal Rumble for AJ Styles? Okay, even if he goes to NXT and stays there, WWE can use some new names on the main roster. What if AJ Styles competes for the title at Royal Rumble? One thing that adds credence to that is that Roman Reigns tonight on Raw was announced as competing in the Royal Rumble match, defending his championship. So you have a theme now. You have a theme that Roman Reigns is defending the world title. Maybe people from different areas come in for the chance to win the world title. And AJ Styles comes in going for the world title. That's how he debuts. Maybe even Finn Balor from NXT. Maybe not a main roster jump, but he comes up from NXT to go for the world title because he is NXT champion. Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar could be in the Royal Rumble match now, making that a title match. Brock Lesnar may even win. Brock Lesnar could very well win that match and defend the world title at WrestleMania. Same with The Undertaker, but we are, let's see if this works. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to try it. We're getting a call. Caller, you're on the line. Can you hear me? No, you won't be able to hear me because I don't have a piece of equipment on that is necessary. So hold on 1 second. We'll see if this works now. Caller, are you on the line?
Yeah. Hey, Rob. This is Danny Hernandez. How are you?
Hi, Danny. I am doing great tonight. How are you?
Good. Just testing out your equipment.
Yeah.
I don't Yeah, I do want to say the point. Before, Triple H had his conference call before NXT Brooklyn,
Yeah.
where he gave the point 2016 he's going to split the NXT traveling crew. It's going to be a home team, an away team.
Mm-hmm.
So them bringing these New Japan guys possibly.
Yep.
To build up the road, because they're doing more road travels and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But I don't know how Shinsuke Nakamura is going to do in NXT. Hopefully they don't make him do the training, because according to when Court Bauer he would do his podcast, this Shinsuke Nakamura is like a chain smoker. Hopefully his lungs can handle it.
Yeah, it's interesting because if Shinsuke Nakamura was going to WWE, it would be quite the change for him. A little more, not so much structure, but just quite a change. I mean, as it would be for anyone going to a foreign land and living there full time. But if you think Shinsuke Nakamura is going to WWE, because all signs seem likely, would you, Danny, figure him to go to NXT over the main roster?
Yeah, 100%. Unfortunately, yeah, they don't know how to use these Japanese guys, and I think the 100% will be in NXT.
100% in NXT. No, you very well may be right. And it will be interesting if that's the case. If Shinsuke Nakamura goes just to NXT, if he's being signed, if WWE in fact signs him, and he's being signed strictly for NXT, that'll be a big, really pushing the back for NXT. That's showing WWE really sees this as not just a little tiny brand anymore, that they're going to go gung ho. And in 2006, when they tried to get ECW into its own brand, this is that all over again, is it not? I mean, this is them trying to make a successful lower tier brand into a big thing.
Yeah, just hopefully, unlike the ECW, they don't get Vince McMahon's hands on it and ruins it.
Yeah, we'll see how involved he is if that is indeed the case. But The advantage is that Triple H has his hands all around this pet project, and he's making it his. So hopefully that means none of this outside interference from voices who think maybe you should do this differently. We'll see how it goes. But Danny, I really wanted to thank you for being the first call on this fly by night solo show.
All right. Well, watch TNA tomorrow. Goodbye.
All right. Watch TNA. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. This is the first week of TNA on Pop. And the debut is tomorrow, live from somewhere in Pennsylvania. So there's a lot going on in the wrestling world. I mean, 2016 just started, and chaos is creeping up. So yeah, I think a Royal Rumble debut for AJ Styles certainly makes sense with all the different other stuff going around. The fact that he's off the ROH shows that weekend. The fact that it doesn't mean he's in the main roster full time. He can still go to NXT and do a lighter schedule. But I think AJ Styles in the Royal Rumble wouldn't be that big of a shocking surprise. But we shall see. Trent Williams on our chat mentions that AJ Styles is now following Triple H on Twitter, a new development from today. So a lot of new developments with AJ Styles. I have a question too. I wish I could make a poll, but I don't know how to use the Twitter for Mac app. And let's see, I'm going to make two polls, and I want you to vote at Shake Them Ropes. Does Rob look Turkish? Will be the first one, and I have to do this on the website. God, it's 2016, and I have to do this on an actual web browser. And then the second one will be most important. The second one is going to be the big one. Will AJ Styles be NXT or main roster if he goes to WWE? I want to get your thoughts in the chat room here on YouTube, as well as vote in our poll on at Shake Them Ropes on Twitter. NXT main roster. Voting in the polls begins now. I'm frozen. It says my camera is frozen on a wacky face. So let me try to fix the video here. I'm not recording this as an audio portion. If you are right now listening to this on YouTube, you are going to be the only ones to get to hear this live. So let's see if I can go away from this video. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see this again. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to, Hang on, everybody.
Hang on, everybody. All right, too much light now, though. I'm going to be back here. I'm going to be back here. I think. I don't know what's going on. This is compelling, I know. Thanks, Chris, for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for everyone. Yes, it is exclusive. It is all exclusive just for you. What if AJ Styles wins the Rumble? What if you... And there I am. Yeah, I'm back on the YouTube, so hopefully that's better for all of you. What if AJ Styles wins the Rumble? I don't think he would win the Rumble, but that would be certainly insane. And it would make for a lot of, talk within the wrestling community. No one at this moment has voted in the Does Rob Look Turkish poll, so I'm going to go ahead and say that's a no that I don't. That's what I'm going to do. I'll say that it's a no on that one. But yeah, AJ Styles. So we've talked about AJ Styles, right? I mean, AJ Styles going to WWE has been something that's been mildly talked about, but really today was the first big time where we kind of dove into it here on the show. So now my audio seems to be going off. Is that correct? Yes. I believe I've just fixed that. Sorry. Alrighty. Hooray for live video without prep. Alrighty, yeah, my face. Oh god, my face. Yeah, that's going to be a Twitter thing. For those wondering about the yellow turtleneck, so I went to Michigan, Ohio State, the football game, just a couple of weeks. Well, I guess it's been around a month ago now. And my girlfriend wanted me to look the part. She wanted me to get Michigan colors, so I got the yellow tight turtleneck. It was also 30 degrees that day. So I got the yellow turtleneck, I got the blue tights, and a Michigan shirt. So I'm wearing the turtleneck tonight because it's freezing cold here. It's very, very cold. Audio is not fixed? No, audio is not fixed? Alrighty. If you want to call in, the call line is open, 260-494-3811. Talk Shinsuke Nakamura, Roman Reigns defending the title in the Rumble, Chuck Pagano somehow going to get fired today and walking out with a 4-year contract extension. What is that about? I don't know.
Yeah, you know what I have to do before I can fix the audio is I have to actually place... Okay, it's coming. It's fixing now. 30 seconds. Hooray for delay. This is going super great. This is going super well. I would like to thank all of you who are watching and sticking with me. Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura going to WWE. Let's see. We have a call on the line, and oh, look who it is. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Hey, Rob.
It is David Bixenspan, everybody, at David Bix on Twitter. David, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, at least on the Skype call, you sound fine.
I'm still learning this this program that I use, and what happened was I fixed the audio, but then I have to cast the new configuration to YouTube, and I forgot to cast the new configuration to YouTube for about a minute, so it's fixed now. But yes, you sound great. I sound as best as I'll ever sound, which is not great, I'm sure. But David, this has been a big day, least of which, let's get a plug in first. You have been covering the Hulk Hogan Gawker story and released your newest newsletter today. So I want to congratulate you on being, it seems like, the only person covering this and following it. Obviously, one of the biggest names in pro wrestling history. Why do you think more people aren't covering it?
In wrestling or out of wrestling?
I would say anywhere, because I haven't seen in mainstream publications ever since the shock of WWE firing him. I haven't seen almost anyone else covering it. Now, maybe I don't follow the certain websites that would, but I haven't seen much of anything.
There hasn't. I mean, it's kind of slowed down to a point. I mean, but yeah, I don't really know why. I mean, in wrestling media, I get it. Just not everyone's gonna look for certain stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I'm glad you're still on it, and you can follow that at F4W Wrestling, WrestlingObserver.com for David Bix's coverage and the Figure 4 weekly newsletter. But let's talk the big stuff of today, right? What is the biggest news story of today in your mind? And you can dive within the news of WWE going after New Japan talents. If there's one name that's bigger than anything else, what do you see as the biggest thing you've taken away from today?
I feel like Nakamura is the biggest, if just because I feel like the timing clearly contributed to Styles jumping. because with the security and the injury, like this was just a recipe for him leaving, I would think.
Yeah,
the job security.
Yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura seems to be the biggest one because it's out of left field, even for those who have been covering and reading Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer. Like, you knew WWE was after him, but I don't think anyone truly believed that they would get him or that he would leave, whether it's the age, whether it's the standing in New Japan Pro Wrestling, whether it's anything. I don't think anyone ever thought he would go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember because when it first came up in the Observer, like, I don't remember if it was in the newsletter or on one of the audio shows, but I want to say Dave said, like, because he was saying it was about a money thing for Nakamura because the New Japan top guys are paid really well. I want to say he was intimating it was like in the, like, I don't know, $300,000 to $400,000, maybe even $500,000 a year range was kind of what the top New Japan guys are getting. So I do wonder if maybe he'd be willing to go for not quite that much as long as it was fair to be able to become an American star, or you know, because that's always has that appeal in Japan. But I still never would have expected it. I mean, all the Bullet Club stuff. I mean, because, you know, like Dave alluded to on his breaking news audio earlier, I mean, people had been hearing about Carl Anderson and some of those other guys for weeks.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the one that I feel like is the big surprise because Styles, I mean, like I said, it had to happen at this point. And it's sort of, I'd even say for him, it was sort of, if he was going to get the injury, it's good luck that it happened this time of year. Although even if he doesn't have a contract.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, AJ Styles is a big one. Shinsuke Nakamura for the uncertainty of it, especially when, you know, we had Kenta come in, Hideo Itami, and it seemed like there weren't many bigger names than that could come in. And it hasn't exactly gone like gangbusters, even before he got hurt. I mean, he was slowly shifting down the card. He was slowly shifting down in level of importance. I don't know if Shinsuke Nakamura wouldn't suffer the same fate, even knowing how big Shinsuke is right now.
I think there are just different issues at play between the two. One's a junior heavyweight that was in a weird situation in Japan with the way everything went with Noah. And then kind of either, you know, it's always conflicting whether or not they wanted him deprogrammed, or because then there was the whole thing with Triple H telling him that he should work like he always worked or whatever it was. But Nakamura has I feel like out of the box has a much more WWE friendly style. Yeah. I don't think that's an issue with him. I think he probably has more confidence about being able to get over in WWE, just as a guess. I think he translates better. He
does probably translate better out of the box. But let me ask you this. So we've seen, you know, Hideo Itami with the English classes and slowly improving his English. We've seen Asuka speaking English only on NXT. We've seen the pictures of La Sombra in his English classes. Shinsuke Nakamura at 36, 37 years old, if he goes to NXT somehow, are we going to be seeing the same stuff where he's only speaking English and the broken English? Because I think that hurts any program. If he goes to the main roster, do you see him, speaking English only? Do you see him speaking Japanese only? Like, what is the level at play there with Shinsuke Nakamura and the language barrier?
I think if you keep him on NXT as an attraction, and that's what they're doing, I think he, at least until he has, you know, fairly functional English, just because he has, like, even when it's not subtitled, like, he has just such an interesting delivery.
Right.
That I almost feel like you'd want to have him do, like, short subtitled promos or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, with him, like, and I wouldn't say that for anyone else. Because he just has that really weird style where you can still sort of, like, not get what he's saying, but you still get the gist, you get the tone and everything really well with him.
True. Now, when you say I look Turkish, what do you mean? And that is by no means, I believe, an insult, because I mean, Turkish people are beautiful people.
It was just,
I look Turkish.
No, it was just that McCarran, you look like a Turkish person, and that did not, and McCarran does not sound like a Turkish.
No, it is not. It is not naturally Turkish. No, that's true. Shinsuke Nakamura, is Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson going to WWE that big of a deal?
I feel like in ring it is because Gallows was more dynamic when he left WWE than he has been in New Japan. Anderson, I don't know, that one, like, even though that was the one that everyone kept hearing about, it's still kind of surprising to me because, like, I don't know if he was like officially like foreign talent booker or anything, but that he was kind of the guy in that role for years. Even with the ROH deal and stuff, it's kind of not an official office thing for him.
No, but you're right. Carl and Rocky both seem to fill that role in a way, and it's crazy to think that both of them could be leaving, and then if all of those talents leave, if all of the ones that are being rumored leave, say AJ leaves, say Doc and Carl leaves, Rocky Romero, will Trent Beretta be gone at this point? Do you think this puts any hesitance on New Japan Pro Wrestling bringing in American foreigners with the mass exodus that you're seeing right now?
I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of doing a modernized contract system.
Yeah,
and holding the Americans to that too. I think that's all it is. It worked. Like, I know it's a holdover from previous era. I don't get why they never at least shifted it to a different part of the year.
Yeah.
After Wrestle Kingdom became the peak of the year the way it has, like, because they used to have the different dome shows throughout the year and stuff. So it wasn't as precarious as it turned out to be this year. Like it would have been in the 90s or anything if anything like that happened. Right. But they've got to, whether it's longer contracts, stack. That's the thing, though, because now they're going to be wanting to sign everyone to different, probably, I would think, to longer contracts, etc. But everyone's still up at the same time. Like, are they actually gonna, like, if you're them, do you put like certain people on like short contracts to stagger it throughout the year so that when they expire in the long term, that you don't have it like in something like this, like. Because as of it is right now, if you sign everyone to a 3-year deal now, everyone's still up at the same time in 3 years.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and if you have the staggered contracts, then you can control it a little bit better. You'll, instead of losing 3 people at a time, you would lose the one. I don't know if, while AJ Styles is a big name, I think they were always going year to year with him anyway, because any year he could have just said, I want to move back home and stay home and work Jimmy Rave every weekend. And then you have Shinsuke Nakamura. I think he's really the one that is the blow to them. So if that's true, in a way, it was really only one guy, albeit a very top of the card guy. I don't know if this is necessarily the impotence for any change. But if they're going to do any change, that's the way I think they would go. And you're right. But I don't know if this is enough. I really don't know if Shinsuke Nakamura leaving is enough for New Japan to change the way they've been doing business for years and years and decades. So that'll be interesting to see.
Well, you know what, though? This is not the first time it's happened, though.
Right.
Because of the, why am I forgetting all of a sudden? Muto, Kendo Kashin, and Kojima, I believe, was the same thing, right?
Yeah.
They all left at the same time in January in, what was it, 02, 03?
2002?
That sounds right.
I think 2002.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they've had the big names leave before, and they slowly recovered. This time, I don't know if Shinsuke Nakamura. It's at a weird time because it's seeming you can't do Tanahashi and Okada anytime soon. Again, after Wrestle Kingdom today, Nakamura, while he had the Intercontinental title, didn't seem to be in the picture for the world title. At some point this year, he was going to lose that Intercontinental title and be in the world title picture with Okada. Probably lose. Maybe even at Dominion this year. And now you have to kind of change the way you book the whole rest of the year because Nakamura was certainly going to be a big player. It's a weird time. What do you expect? Where are we? I'll say WrestleMania. Where are we WrestleMania, David? Where do you think people are going to be? Where do you think AJ is? Where do you think Carl Anderson is? Where do you think Shinsuke Nakamura is? Do you see them all in WWE? And if so, what brand?
I think AJ is absolutely for NXT. I could see a possibility of Guns and Gallows on the main roster, but my guess would be that it's a some kind of Balor club thing with Balor eventually turning heel and teaming up with them.
Does that help? By the way, does that help Finn Balor?
Probably not.
Because you go from being the top lone babyface star on the brand, especially when Sami Zayn was out, you go from the top lone babyface star to now one of 3 guys.
Yeah. Now, by the way, I mean, WWE, it's been with injuries, but it's weird how this has happened with like every major promotion in just a few months. AAA
Yeah.
had its thing.
Yep.
WWE had the zillion injuries in a row. Now New Japan has first Ibushi getting injured, and now Styles and Nakamura leaving, and now all of a sudden they only have two really main event guys. So, I mean, they have guys they can plug in, but all of it, they went from having 4 to 5 to 2.
Right. Yeah,
So
it's a crazy thing going on with talent. We've been seeing this all year. And this has been one of the wackiest years. And now we're in 2016. So technically we're in the new year of this, but I don't see it changing. I mean, yeah, if WWE gets AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, I don't know who else is out there that could be a surprise wow factor type of roster jumpy. But I certainly don't think we're done with it.
Well, I mean, it's not like a big draw type, but I think this means you kind of have to sacrifice Noah for now and bring Go Shiozaki and people like that up to New Japan.
Yeah. You have too many Go Shiozaki, Naomichi Marufuji, even as the GHC champion, Suzuki Gun. You got to bring some of these guys back. If you want to let some of the lower tier guys who have been, stale in New Japan, if you want to let, them go and work full time for Noah or try to just re-jump the rosters, seems like certainly the time. When do you expect, last one, then we'll let you go enjoy the rest of your 5 minutes of this day. Nakamura, when do you see him being done? Because the reports are he gave notice, but he's not going to leave high and dry as the Intercontinental Champion. We don't know what's going to happen tonight on New Year's Dash, if anything's set up for Nakamura or not. When do you expect, like if you just had to guess, because really in a way that's kind of all we're doing with Nakamura anyway, when would you think he is going to be on his way out?
I'll go with either set up for him to debut at the TakeOver WrestleMania weekend. But you know what? No, that sounds too early because if he's going to be staying in New Japan for a while, they'll want him to go through their system like at least for a month or two before he starts on TV. So I'll say, I don't know when he finishes up in New Japan, but I'll say that they're going to target him for the takeover after WrestleMania weekend.
Takeover after WrestleMania. This is a big signing with the WWE Network now available in Japan, and NXT available exclusively on the WWE Network, except for certain countries where it's on TV. So in a way, for all those thinking that Shinsuke might go to the main roster because they may be paying him more than what anyone in NXT should make, he's probably more valuable in NXT. Don't you think?
I would think so. Yeah. And
one last thing. Oh yeah, go ahead.
One last thing I'll mention is just what's so weird about all this is that I don't know how much of this is just fortuitous to WWE or if they were just tracking this and that's part of why they decided to go with it now and Triple H going with it, but that they're doing this at a time where all of us, we're now these last 2 years where the indie darling types are finally drawing on indie. You know what I mean? It's like, if they were ever going to do this, is the time to do it. Right. And I kind of wonder how much of that is that they were keeping up with that and how much of that is kind of just dumb luck stemming from other things. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because, this is a new phenomenon. I sometimes I wonder if people don't realize it, but like, Styles, Young Bucks, Cabana, those type of guys being actual draws is really something that's only been going on the last, I guess 2 years would be the closest, but I guess you could say maybe 3, right? Yeah, you had at a time on the U.S. indie circuit where certain guys were draws in certain cities where it was noticeable. But overall, you're right. I mean, nationwide, we didn't have this indie draw type thing until people started noticing it with the Bucks. And I would say, yeah, it's probably in that time period. But the Bucks have really made it noticeable. Brandon Howard at Voices of Wrestling did a stat comparison about attendances for ROH with AJ Styles on the show and with the Young Bucks on the show versus when they weren't on the show. And it was glaring how much more they drew with those certain guys on the shows. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time for NXT. Any chance that we see AJ in the Rumble? This will be the one I let you go on. Any chance we see AJ Styles in the Rumble going for the title? I don't think so, because I think it's a Roman Reigns overcoming the odds storyline match. I think
you see Roman Reigns winning.
Surprises.
Do you see Roman Reigns winning the match?
Yeah, I think it's to set up him versus Triple H at WrestleMania without having to have Triple H enter and win the Rumble. Okay.
Interesting thought, because I feel like there are a lot of ways to go. Jeff Hawkins and I will be talking about this on Shake Them Ropes, because this here we're talking more so the New Japan stuff, which we never dive into on Shake Them Ropes, but we'll talk all this WWE stuff once I've had a few moments to get off of my Heath Slater should win track that I'm feeling bursting inside myself right now. So I got to get myself off that mindset before I do the show. But Bix, I want to thank you so much for calling in. And also, I apologize for mentioning your DM, which I didn't know was a DM, because Twitter for Mac had to update on me today, and I didn't understand the differences yet in that program.
Could you imagine what the things I could have sent you? Like that you could have. I mean, this was a pretty tame one.
This was a pretty tame. Don't get me started on reading the other Bix DMs, because they are not as tame. This guy likes to go wild on me. But Bix, thank you so much, and keep up the good work at F4W and Sports Entertainment Scoops and wherever else you may be these days.
There's going to be some wherever else as they may be in the next month or so.
Really? I was talking today about, we had this New Japan, all these jumps to WWE, and I was like, this is no big deal, because Bix jumps to a different website every day.
No, but I'm a freelancer.
That's right. You are doing it Young Buck style, and sir, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right. David Bix, everybody, at David Bix on Twitter, talking a little Shinsuke Nakamura coming to WWE possibly. If you want to get on the phone lines, we're going to keep them open for a little bit, because we haven't even really talked about some of the stuff going on today. 260-494-3811 if you're going to call via telephone. Let's Say Things, all one word, LETSSAYTHINGS on Skype. And you can get in on the conversation. I think you have to add me as a friend first, and I have to accept, and then you can call in. I think that's how it works on Skype. I'm not sure. But you are going to get the chance to talk about anything you want. You can ask me a question. You can just get on your soapbox. That's perfectly fine. But I want to thank David and Danny so far for calling in on the show. So we have basically the news sourced by Court Bauer and Dave Meltzer, both of which say they've talked to different people. I have no doubt that Court Bauer talked to the people involved, because some of them have a show on his very network, Major League Wrestling. So very likely he's pretty informed on this. But yeah, WWE is seeking out Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, AJ Styles, and Shinsuke Nakamura, and they have all given notice that they are going to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. All given notice. All the WWE topics we're going to talk about on Shake Them Ropes this week. You can go to voicesofwrestling.com/STR. All the WWE topics I will talk with Jeff about. We'll get into some of the names and what could be happening on the horizon for WWE and AJ Styles and all these guys. We're going to talk about NXT Breaking Ground going on as we record this show. That's the season finale, so we'll talk about the season finale of Breaking Ground. And for you New Japan fans, if you don't know for some reason, at Voices Wrestling on Twitter, this weekend, we released the 2015 Year in Review ebook, which you can get via Amazon or via the Voices of Wrestling website. It is absolutely free if you want it to be. We take donations for the book, so if you'd like to, chip in $4, you can go pay $4 and get this ebook that, according to the Amazon Kindle, will take 13 hours to read. So this is not a 100-page fluff piece where you can breeze through it in an hour. This is a comprehensive manual of all the people in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Some of the people of which may not be in New Japan Pro Wrestling very much longer. Checking out the chat here on YouTube. If these rumors are true, this could be the best Royal Rumble ever. Yes. What I fear is that we're thinking going into the Rumble possibly that AJ Styles is going to be in it, Brock Lesnar is going to be in it, it's going to be all these things, and then we end up not getting those names. So don't go too far thinking about what could happen yet. Because Shinsuke Nakamura is probably not coming into WWE that soon. AJ Styles very well may not come into WWE at all. He may, and if he does, it might be only NXT. So we don't want to go in with too much chaos going on, but this could be another Rumble, like I believe the year in Boston where they had the 40-man and Alberto Del Rio won, and we had the returns of Booker T and Kevin Nash, and all weekend it was going crazy that Kevin Nash could come in. And now here we are, thinking Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles can come in. So very crazy. But we have some people who might be looking to get on the line here, so I will let's say things on Skype and 260-494-3811. So super curious. I know this is about AJ and all, but do you think with AJ and Joe now in WWE, you think they will make guys like Jay Lethal jump ship? Jay Lethal, if he wanted to go to WWE, there's probably interest there. But right now he's the Ring of Honor World Champion. Who knows what his lifestyle is like now? Maybe he doesn't want to work the full-time schedule. That's one thing to always consider. We think of these guys that if WWE is offering the money, everyone would want to go. Some guys may not want to go. Some guys may like the shorter schedule. Some guys may like being at home. You don't know. But Jay Lethal is certainly a name that the way he works, the name he's built up, he may be a candidate for someone who wants to go. We don't know. I would be surprised if any of the guys from New Japan are on the main roster in 2016. A decorative drop in our chat room. Yeah, they might not be on the main roster. There's a reason why these guys are being signed, and it's Triple H reaching out to them. And Triple H may be wanting these guys for his roster. The question comes into how much money they're offering, right? And that's one of the questions. So we will, let's see here. We got a call coming in to the line. We'll answer this one and see who it is. Caller on the Skype line, your name and where you're calling from. Caller on the Skype line, are you there? Hello. Guess not. Nope. That's fine. Let's see. No James Storm. James Storm is an interesting one today. James Storm, it's being reported by PW Insider that he is going to be at the TNA tapings this week, starting tomorrow, which is their live show, their debut on Pop TV. So James Storm may be done with NXT. And really, once Billy Gunn got fired, Billy Gunn was his in to NXT. Once Billy Gunn got fired as a trainer at NXT, the writing was kind of on the wall for him, likely, that he would not be asked back. He wasn't at another taping after that. He wasn't, he wasn't a guy that people thought was going to be in the company anymore. He wasn't talked about. So he's gone. James Storm going back to TNA most likely. Let's see. Caller on the Skype line. Let's try it again. Your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Jeff from Boston.
Hi, Jeff from Boston. How are you?
Good.
So your biggest takeaway from today, what's on your mind?
I'm a big New Japan fan, so
okay.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
More or less in major shock right now on the news.
Who are you more in shocked by? I think the shock is coming from Shinsuke Nakamura. Is that the same with you?
Yeah, I've been following the both with Carl, Doc, and AJ for a while. I've heard all the AJ rumors. I didn't think he'd jump just because I thought the schedule would be a little bit longer in WWE, but I thought it was definitely a possibility with the one-year contracts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But Nakamura is definitely the shocker. I saw him at the Field of Honor show. He looked like he was having a great time, and I thought he had a ton more to do.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are shocked, mostly on Shinsuke Nakamura, but one of the things we want to be careful of is Court Bauer said on his show, and Dave Meltzer has been talking about, Shinsuke Nakamura possibly coming in or getting offered deals by WWE. Court Bauer says he's given notice. There's still time.
Yeah.
There's still time, right? Those who want to go out on the limb and say Shinsuke to WWE is a done deal, I think you should be a little bit hesitant. There could be a last minute, here's a truckload of money, Shinsuke, stay in New Japan, where he says, you know what, I haven't signed the paper yet. I'm going to stay in New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's still hope, is all I'm saying, that Shinsuke could stay. I think AJ Styles is gone for sure. Shinsuke, do you have some of that hope that Shinsuke might still be there?
Definitely. I tried to post at least the PW Insider report when the stream started up, so I read it before you guys got started. I'm hoping too, and Nihito has been tweeting like hopeful messages through Twitter for a little bit, so I'm hoping that works out. But for the most part, if this is true that he gave notice in some way, you think he will face any punishment if he changes his mind?
I don't, if only for the fact that if they really want him and are glad that he's staying, they're going to be, kind of kissing up to him for a little bit, oh, thanks so much for staying. I don't know if it would be a punishment thing like, oh, we wanted you back so much to keep going in our plans. Now you're going to be at the bottom of the card. Cause that would make sense, right? Cause he's He's only staying if they give him more money, and they're going to want to get value out of that more money.
Honestly, when the news broke, I was actually watching the Wrestle Kingdom show.
Okay.
I just finished up the Styles Nakamura match, to be ironic.
Yeah.
And I was thinking in my head, well, I was pretty sure Styles was winning the match, assuming everyone was staying on contract for at least another year.
Mhm.
I thought the plan was probably going to be, we need a big drawing card for the New Beginning in Osaka show. So I thought that Styles Nakamura was probably going to do a rematch there, and they were probably going to put the belt on Styles just because they didn't want to have Nakamura lose in the Dome, just for symbolic reasons. So I thought that was what was going to happen. So taking off that belt, I feel like was probably always in the plan. I don't think Nakamura having the belt is ever a long-term plan unless it's leading up to like a Dominion or the Dome again. So, I don't think this was he held it from September.
Yeah.
So for him to like continue holding it just doesn't really make that much sense.
So let's go with this as the big New Japan fan that you are, Jeff.
Yeah.
If AJ Styles is gone, if Shinsuke Nakamura say is gone after Dominion, let's even give him till June. Let's say he's gone after Dominion, which is in the middle of June this year. Let's say he's gone after Dominion. What do you do the second half of the year? Who are the guys that are in the Intercontinental title picture? Who are the guys that are going to go against Okada or whoever the IWGP champ is? Who's filling these shoes, do you think? Is it as easy as moving up Goto and Naito? Or is it going to be some of the guys that haven't been in those pictures for a while?
Honestly, I'm trying to, like a million plans going through my head. My original ideas were that, and I think a lot of people had this idea that Naito is probably winning this match this morning, but and he would probably move on to a heavyweight title shot. I thought he was probably gonna either win the title at Invasion Attack or at Dominion, because obviously Naito versus Okada is potentially that big drawing match for Osaka Joe, since we're going back to Osaka Joe. I thought I thought also Nakamura, because Nakamura I thought was probably going to drop it to Styles. And if Kota Ibushi it's just a herniated disc. Well, not just a herniated disc, it's bad.
Yeah,
but,
it's bad. It's kept him out of the ring almost all the year, so hopefully he gets better. Because Kota Ibushi right now is a huge missing player. I think
he's a huge missing player, but he can. He'll definitely recover. And I think if just by like the estimated recovery time, he should be back right around Invasion Attack. So if he was back around Invasion Attack, then he could easily challenge. Especially if Styles was a champion in Invasion Attack, you could challenge Styles, and then you had Styles versus Ibushi at a Dominion. But again, that's like now that's all out the door.
It's one of those where at this point with Styles gone and Nakamura, we don't even know when Nakamura might be leaving if he leaves, so it's tough to kind of book in the future. So while I say it's tough to book in the future, let me ask you this: what do you think main events Wrestle Kingdom 12 or 11? Excuse me.
11.
Yes. If you had to know what we know now, that Nakamura is leaving and Styles is gone, and I hope to God they don't do Tanahashi and Okada again, as great as the matches have been, what would you say is your main event trying to look a year out at Wrestle Kingdom 11?
I'm a crazy nut, so I have been thinking that far in the future, but I don't think Tanahashi's gonna main event even remotely. You heard the I think it was a quote from like years ago, like probably in like the 2013 Tokyo Dome match where he said that he wouldn't who was it? Tanahashi wouldn't challenge Okada again in the Dome or for the IWGP title if he lost to Okada in the Dome. I think, and I believe he's probably going to stand by that. Tanahashi's probably going to pick up the IWGP title and do that open challenge thing that he said he was going to do. So just probably what's going to take us into the
do you believe Okada will be in the title picture at Wrestle Kingdom 11 either as champ or challenger?
Probably challenger.
But not but we don't know.
No. Personally, because of this, I'm hoping he goes on this big Kenta Kobashi run now.
Okay.
Like going for the next like 500 days or whatever.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, we gotta keep. Everything's complicated now.
Mhm.
Honestly, if this Lionsgate thing could really stir the pot, so who knows? I don't know if also with Tomoyuki Oka and Katsushi Kitamura, the new big young lions. I don't know if they're gonna have Kitamura just jump in. I don't know if he's already trained. And Oka's had his wrestling career, his amateur wrestling career, and his MMA career already in the past. I don't know if he even needs an excursion, and they can just they can just jump him as a young lion right now, and by the end of the year he can already be, and by like late in the year he can already be main roster. I have no idea what the plan there is. If there can be a million things going on.
There's a million possibilities. We got some other calls coming in, so I'm glad you were able to call in, Jeff. I'm glad we were able to get the audio issue fixed, and it's a year to watch for, because while the card has been maybe a little stale in some mind, this should certainly shake it up just a little bit. So I want to thank you so much for calling in, Jeff.
Okay. I'll probably call in again if you guys talk about New Japan.
Hey, we may do this. This is a first kind of a run here. So we very well may be doing these kinds of shows here in the future after big events like this. Who knows? But we got another call, 337 area code. Your name and where are you calling from? 337, are you there? Oh, I finally got to 337 and he decides to hang up. What a bummer. If you're 337 area code, go ahead and give us a call again. I want to update some of the polls that we had running at Shake Them Ropes on Twitter. Will AJ Styles be NXT or main roster if he goes to WWE? 64% say NXT. 36% have hope that he goes to the main roster. And then the most important poll, does Rob look Turkish? Does Rob look Turkish? 56% says yes, Rob looks Turkish. So David Bixenspan may have a little bit of a point. So the crazy news today, WWE raiding New Japan, it seems. Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, I don't know if there's that much. It's got the initial hype just because, oh my God, surprise. I don't know if NXT crowds are really going to be looking forward to seeing Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson matches. I don't know if you are. I don't believe I am, especially if they're going up against the likes of like Blake and Murphy and whatnot. I think they have a lot of knowledge they can share, both of them as a tag team. I just don't know if those are the type of matches you want to be seeing on NXT live events. AJ Styles, certainly a big coup. AJ Styles, maybe 10 years too late, but still a big coup for WWE. Shinsuke Nakamura, we'll have to wait and see where he even goes, if he goes, and what brand he might be going to, and how they handle his appearance. James Storm headed to TNA, it looks like. TNA doing their shows. Mike Bennett headed to TNA. I joked earlier in the Voices of Wrestling production chat room, as well as on Twitter, that New Japan is dying, which obviously is just a joke, just sarcasm, not true. But let's look at some of the things that happened for New Japan this week, right? Attendance at Wrestle Kingdom, down 11,000 from last year. Now, the difference being last year's show was on a Sunday night. Tonight's show was on a Monday night. You have Carl Anderson leaving, Doc Gallows leaving, Rocky Romero possibly leaving, AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura leaving. You have some trouble there. Who's going to be on excursion this year? Who's going to come back to New Japan? What foreigners do they bring in to replace all these guys leaving, if they bring any at all? It could be Suzuki Gun coming back. It could be the foreigners they may bring in might actually be Shelton Benjamin and the Killer Elite Squad. So guys that had been there before who are now, instead of working Noah shows, working New Japan shows again. So we have Austin Aries still out there. Austin Aries had traveled to the previous NXT tapings. Will he be brought in? Will he work the Green Bay, Wisconsin show? Will he work some of these NXT live events? Will he be an on-screen character? Will he maybe not come in at all? Maybe the money wasn't right. Maybe they didn't want to bring him in after they saw him and met with him. We'll have to wait and see on Austin Aries. A lot going on. We had Dylan Waco. On Shake Them Ropes leading up to actually he was on our post TLC show on Shake Them Ropes. And he said that Goldberg is a rumor that he's been hearing. And a lot of talk was about Goldberg possibly coming into NXT, or not to NXT, but Dallas for WrestleMania. So his kids who are growing up can actually see him wrestle. So there's always Goldberg out there. So if you want to give a call in, this is the final call for calls before we wrap up today. 260-494-3811, or Let's Say Things, all one word, on Skype. That'll be our call-in show for the future. I'm interested. I'll put a poll up at Shake Them Ropes, but I want to know from those who are still in the chat room. If you're still in the chat room on YouTube, is this a thing that you would watch again after a Raw, after a pay-per-view? If we just kind of came on for an hour talking all the big news and maybe took your calls, is this something you would be interested in having as a regular thing? Obviously, without all the production snafus that we had early on in the show tonight, because I seriously planned on doing the show about 10 minutes before we actually did it. I was like, you know what? A lot happened today. Maybe we should talk about it. And kind of hastily put everything together. I didn't have everything plugged in. I didn't have the Skype box even on. I should make a checklist and go through the checklist every time I do these shows and make sure everything is working correctly. This, by the way, is going to be a YouTube exclusive. This is not an audio show I'm going to put up on the feed. This was not an episode of Shake Them Ropes. This was not an episode of the Voices of Wrestling podcast. All the podcasts you can get, by the way, voicesofwrestling.com/STR is the Shake Them Ropes podcast, or voicesofwrestling.com. There's a link on the top to go to the Voices of Wrestling flagship podcast. But we might be doing more of these shows. Maybe grow the call-in audience, maybe grow those who are watching it. This was certainly fun. I don't usually talk this much at one time with no one else to talk to. Doing a show with Jeff Hawkins or with a co-host is certainly easier. So I want to thank all those who called in, because that really saves me from just gas bagging here for an hour about nothing. I don't know how many times I can go back to different polls. And maybe every week we'll find out if I look like a different nationality. How's that? Today it was Turkish. We'll see if I look more Icelandic later on as we do these shows. But this is going to be basically it. I want to thank those who called in. This has been a fun time talking about the New Japan raid. Jeff and I will be back Tuesday. Make sure you get the podcasts. Once this show is up, I will change the description to make sure there's a link there to the podcast. But Shake Them Ropes comes up Tuesday. Jeff and I will talk all the WWE news. We'll talk about the WWE side of the possible talents coming in. We'll talk about Breaking Ground, NXT, where NXT goes here in 2016, where they go this month. They have 3 television tapings this month alone. So a lot of things happening in the NXT world. We'll talk about whatever's on Jeff's mind. He went to PWG this weekend, so we'll probably talk a little PWG and go from there. So it'll be a fun show this week. Make sure you catch the podcast, subscribe on iTunes, tune in, subscribe to this channel. If you have not done so yet, if you're in that chat and talking, and I can see all of you, if you're in this chat room, do me a favor. It's free. You don't have to do anything. Like the video. Like it on YouTube. Share the video. Tweet it out. Put it on Facebook. And subscribe to the channel. You don't have to watch any more videos ever. Just subscribe to the channel. It's not going to hurt you, and it will help us a little bit get our visibility out there. So that would be great. So I want to thank those who have said that they might watch again. I want to thank those that have called in. I want to thank those that have stuck around with Shake Them Ropes and Voices of Wrestling. This is going to be Rob McCarran signing off here on this impromptu post-Raw show, talking very little Raw and more New Japan being raided. And hey, Roman Reigns is going to be in the Rumble defending the title. So we'll talk about that on Shake Them Ropes. Goodbye, everybody.